So I was scrolling through TikTok and I happened upon this couple that I see on my feed every once in a while. And this couple's been together for around 10 years. And every time I open the comment section, people are asking when they're gonna get married, when they're gonna get engaged, do they have plans of getting engaged? People are very concerned over whether they are going to get married or not. So again, they popped up on my feed and it was an announcement video. And everyone, including me, thought, okay, this is going to be the engagement announcement video. But the plot twist was that they are having a baby. It was a pregnancy announcement. And of course, people are very happy for them. But again, there's that question of, okay, so are you guys going to get married? Are you guys going to get engaged? And this couple story isn't really unique anymore. It's becoming the new normal. And it really had me thinking, why are we seeing more pregnancy announcements than engagement announcements? We are seeing a cultural shift to a place where people aren't really interested in getting married, but they're still interested in having children. So let's get into why marriage rates are dropping, but the baby birth rates are not dropping as rapidly as well. What's up, YouTube? It's tinysey, and welcome to my digital garden. Looking at statistics, we can see a really interesting story regarding marriage and birth rates. Marriage rates have plummeted to historic lows, just 28 marriages per 1,000 unmarried women in 2022 compared to 76 per 1,000 in 1970. And for young adults between the ages of 18 and 29, only 21% of them are married. And this is less than half of what it was in the 1980s. So we can also see through these statistics that there's definitely been a decline in interest in people getting married. And also, interestingly, while people are not interested in getting married, they're still interested in having children. Today, over 40% of births in the United States are to unmarried mothers. And many of these aren't single parent households. The number of unmarried couples has quadrupled since the 1980s. So around 58% of unmarried parents are cohabitating with their partners. So this is very interesting data because we're seeing a trend here. They don't want to get married, but they are still having children. A good percentage of them are cohabitating. So why not get married? And there's quite a few factors that are playing into why this is happening. And so we'll cover a few to try to figure out what's going on here. So let's try to get some context on why this might be happening. So to understand how we got here, we need to look back at the history. Marriage wasn't always about love. Oftentimes it was about economic exchange. And that's really why a lot of women got forced into marriages that were loveless. It could have been about property rights, social status, or even just financial gain. And as I've taught many times before, women weren't even allowed to open their own bank account till the 1960s. So women were oftentimes just seen as collateral. They were just seen as a pawn in a chess game. And so marriage wasn't necessarily about love. But clearly we are not in this time anymore, and women have their own rights, their own autonomy, they can go to work, and they are financially independent. And I'm sure that this plays a big role in why a lot of women in particular are not as interested in settling down as fast as they might have in the 1960s. In the past, our parents had to go out there, meet somebody, maybe go to a lounge, go to a club, who knows, get set up by their parents, right? That's how they were able to meet people. Now you have this device and this application where you can just meet people online. You can constantly meet new people. You could probably date everyone in your area if you wanted to because of these dating apps. And it creates this illusion of choice. The accessibility has been introduced very recently, and people can just swipe. And this is how people find partners. This is how people find potentially their husbands, and also just partake in hookup culture. And so this might make people take longer to settle down, or at least contribute to why people are taking longer to settle down. We're seeing that women are really getting their stuff together. And we really saw this with the girl bossification era, and just but women in particular getting their life together and focusing on themselves and just making sure that they're putting their well-being before getting into a relationship. And with this came an increase in standards. They're not willing to take any Joe Schmo, especially if they're doing so well in life. Why would they settle for less, right? That's the philosophy and the thought that a lot of women are in right now. Even when we see the 4B movement, this is women saying we have a particular standard, the way we want to be treated. And if that doesn't happen, then we're cutting you off. So there's this big movement and strife that's happening between the genders. I mean, people talk about the gender wars and want to act like, oh, like it's not real, it's not affecting anything. But clearly it is, because we're seeing this decline in marriage. And so women and men are kind of at odds. They're not really looking for the same things. Women are increasing their standards. Men are kind of feeling resentful because of this. But also I've seen men talk about just how hard it is for them today. It's honestly just this mess that's happening within the younger generation around dating, and they're having a harder time figuring it out than the past generation. And we also see hookup culture. Like, we have to talk about it. This was something that wasn't normalized or promoted when our parents were children. This is something that women would have been shamed for partaking in. And so people are able to just have casual sex and just hook up with each other without commitment. We have this rise in situationships and just like all these other titles that allow couples to kind of just take part in girlfriend-boyfriend activities and not be boyfriend and girlfriend, let alone married. So what used to be taboo is just a casual Friday night now. And while it had its benefits, it also has contributed to the decline in marriage, unplanned pregnancies and non-committal relationships, and just a disconnect between physical and emotional connection. People are very willing to connect with people in a physical way, but people are a bit more picky with who they give that emotional connection to. This probably makes it less of a priority for people to get into relationships, because a lot of the benefits, I mean, it sucks to put it that way, but honestly, if you could get all of the benefits of a relationship or even a marriage without marrying or even being in a relationship, what incentive do people have to become boyfriend and girlfriend or even get married? Because you can have access to all those benefits without having to put in that work that relationships take. And another thing that I feel like is influencing and contributing to this decline in marriage and this normalization of having babies outside of marriage is baby mama culture. I should probably explain what a baby mama is for those of you that do not know. So a baby mama is an informal slang, and this is the mother of one or more of a man's children, especially one who is not his wife or current partner. This definition has definitely changed. I think more traditionally, yes, a baby mama is someone that is not currently with the father, but we see it being used even if they are in a relationship. I've seen women addressing themselves as a baby mama and they're currently in a relationship or even married to the man that they had a baby for. But traditionally, it's a term used for women that are not currently with the father of their child. We've been seeing this become more and more prevalent, or at least normalized in mainstream media. And I don't even think it's an intention, or maybe it is, but I think that we're just seeing a lot more of it in mainstream media. I think the most famous and popular baby mamas are the Kardashians. Now, no one wants to say it. I think a lot of times they will point to Black celebrities, and yes, they're definitely taking part of it, rap culture, all of this sort of thing, and that's all still there and very true. But I think the Kardashians, for women especially, have really normalized becoming a baby mama, because Kylie Jenner, Kourtney Kardashian, people don't think about it, but Kourtney Kardashian was a baby mama. She had 3 kids for Scott Disick, and they were not married. They never got married. They did cohabitate and they did have a long relationship, but they never got married, right? And Kylie Jenner as well had 2 kids for Travis Scott, and they also never got married. Halle Bailey was one of the most talked about ones last year because she was the Little Mermaid, and it was just like, yes, she's becoming this figure and just this like role model for Black women and Black children. And then she ended up getting pregnant with her boyfriend, DDG. People were very upset because they felt as though maybe this would ruin her image, ruin her career. They didn't want this new Disney princess to sort of be tainted by a social faux pas, so to speak. Like, this is still not the norm. This is still seen as somewhat of a taboo or just like a faux pas. And then fast forward, they did end up breaking up. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this is definitely one of those dangers of having a child before you get married. This is just one of those prominent examples of these huge celebrities having babies before they get married. Not to mention, we have musicians that constantly are bringing up the term baby mama and just normalizing the idea of having babies before getting married. And I think this really does affect the youth. It really does make it seem like that having a baby is less of a commitment than getting married is. This could be part of the reason why marriage is declining amongst younger people. This is who they're seeing. This is who's being marketed to them. If you're seeing that your favorite celebrity is not prioritizing marriage or, making sure that that foundation is solid before having a child, then it might normalize it for you in your mind and make you also feel like, hey, well, this is just where the times are. This is just what we do. I've also recently saw this crazy trend on TikTok, which also contributed to me wanting to even talk about this, which is the gave him his first child trend, where mothers were sort of bragging, for lack of a better words, bragging about how they gave their boyfriend or partner their first child. The internet was not kind to them when it came to this trend.
Yeah, y'all see him in the comments. He thank you for the opportunity. I changed that bitch ass nigga life. Yeah, y'all see him in the comments.
I'll read it for those of you that can't look at the screen right now, but essentially it says, gave my boyfriend his first child/son, and you see the father with his child and, he's kissing the child and you can tell that he's really happy and loves the baby. And yes, the mother should, be proud of the fact that she gave birth, but the internet is not as kind. People were not afraid to let this creator know what they thought about the situation. So they said, "Aw, the baby got his last name before you." This is the most common one. People said, "How long have y'all been married?" Yeah, that one just kept being on repeat. People really wanted to make sure that she knew that it's not a flex because where's the ring? You're not even married. Where have our priorities gone? That, this is something that you'd want to brag about and put on the internet, but you're not necessarily even married to the man. People are just like, this is contributing to baby mama culture. This is a trend. There were multiple videos of women kind of talking like this, where they're saying, hey, I gave him his first child. And so again, it illustrates that baby mama culture is definitely so normalized that there isn't even a stigma anymore. People don't really care about getting married before making the huge commitment of bringing a child into this world.
So there's this trend going around, / this one chick going viral for posting a video with her boyfriend carrying their baby, saying, "Oh, I gave him his first baby." First thing I'm gonna say is I will always promote and be an advocate for getting married before you have children. I will always advocate that. But that does not mean drag someone because they may not have been married before they had a baby and they're happy with their baby, with their man, and y'all are trying to drag them down because they're not married. It's weird. Y'all do not be girls. Y'all are mean girls. Most of the comments are from other women, and I was just shaking my head. It's really sad. It's really pathetic. Because it's not about promoting baby mama culture. No, like I said, I'm an advocate. Be married before you have kids. But why do y'all care so much about what the next person does with their life? What is it doing to you? How is it affecting you? And also, what do you have to gain from just being mean and talking mess in a random's comments because they decided to make a decision with their life that has absolutely nothing to do with you?
So what this creator is saying is there's some truth there for sure, because when I first saw the comment section, I also was like, this is a bit harsh, and the deed's done, right? She had the baby and she's happy and it is what it is. But there's also that other side of the spectrum where I feel like we have to keep each other accountable. Is there a nicer way to do it? Absolutely. I definitely think that there is. But I also feel like the reason that we've gotten to this place, especially in the Black community, is because there is no accountability. There is no one holding the standard and saying this isn't right. This isn't how it should ideally be done. Of course, and I'm going to get into it, there's ways for this to successfully happen. But I definitely think if you end up having a child before you get married, this is a bit more unstable, and the likelihood that you guys end up breaking up or that you become a single parent is much higher. And the research will back this up. But yes, again, I do think that people were being a bit harsh in the way that they went about doing this. I feel like initially when I wanted to make this video, it was more so like, why are we so mean to these women? I felt like there should be more understanding. There should be a nicer way to educate someone. And if the message is you should get married before you have a baby, I think there is another way to go about that mission and trying to educate people to do this. So I definitely see this creator's point.
Being a girl's girl is holding each other accountable and wanting the best for ourselves. So no, we are no longer celebrating that you gave him his first son. We don't care just as much as he does not care. Let's stop being delusional and thinking that means anything. You gave him the gift of his first son, and what did he give you? Outside of caring, birthing, and raising that child, what is he giving you? That's why I'm loving all these comments that are like, where's the ring, sis? How long y'all been married? Because in all honesty, we do need to bring Shane back. I'm speaking specifically to grown women making grown decisions, understanding the consequences of said decisions. Y'all had one of these women with that viral video turn her comments off. And then she popped up with another video of her heavily pregnant and a ring on her finger and not his. She turned those comments off too because obviously everybody said, girl, there's no wedding, there's no marriage, that's just an engagement. 2025 has arrived and we are tired. Tired of the bullshit and tired of clapping for things that should not be celebrated. We used to listen and don't judge. 2025, we are listening and telling you how we feel. And I love it.
So this creator is kind of alluding to what I was saying, where we need to keep each other accountable. And I think that's what has been lost for so long and why kind of single motherhood has become a bit more rampant than it should have. But I think, again, there's a kind way to do it. She said shame. And I don't think shame is a good motivator. Shame is not, like, it can get you moving a little bit, right? But is it a long-term strategy that will make you reevaluate your morals and actually make marriage a priority in your life? Probably not. It's going to take effort to rewrite this sort of rhetoric, but I'm also for that freedom of choice and decision. And that kind of leads me to the next point. So I think we have established that people aren't really prioritizing marriage in their relationships anymore. And this is for the number of reasons that I've mentioned. Economic reasons, the dating market being very hard, popular culture promoting not getting married and, having babies outside of marriage. With all of these things combined, this is where we're seeing that decline in priority. So the next question that it brought me to is, do you need to get married in order to have a child? Is it important? Does it matter? Research shows that children can thrive in various family structures. The main things that contributed to this is economic stability, consistent parenting, having a tribe around you, and having emotional support. So as long as children are provided with these things, they are able to thrive, be happy, and move on to being successful adults. This could look various ways. You can still be in a situation where you have that economic stability, you have a tribe around you, you have the emotional support, and you also have somewhat of consistent parenting in the sense that maybe your aunts, your uncles are parenting you. Research does show that this is possible. You don't have to be married to raise a successful child. But the only problem I had with this was that this isn't often the case. We see today that 62% of children live with two married parents, and that is an all-time low. Some 15% are living with parents in a remarriage, and 7% are living with parents who are cohabitating. And conversely, the share of children that are living with one parent is at 26%. And that's up from 20% in 2000 and just 9% in 1960. So we see how this rate has exponentially increased over the years. And so going back to the fact that some kids can still grow up to be healthy adults, even if they don't have a traditional family structure, we still see that only 7% of these children have cohabitating parents and 26% of them are living with a single parent. And so oftentimes these are families that are struggling. And so although it is possible you can end up raising a child in a non-traditional family structure, the chances that this is going to happen is a lot less likely than if you are in a two-parent household with married parents. And so on the flip side, we see that marriage does provide you with some legal protections. You have the automatic legal rights for both parents. You have tax benefits that help the whole family. You have greater financial security. But I definitely think the main reason people believe that you should get married before having children is for religious and traditional reasons. A lot of religions speak about the fact that you need to get married before you have children, and this is just ingrained in so much of society. I think this definitely contributes to why people advocate for marriage before having children. And so this is definitely a huge discourse online. Like, do you need to get married? Why is marriage so important? You can still get left even if you have a child. And I think this TikToker describes this phenomenon really well. So let's take a look at that.
How come every time somebody says it's better to wait until you're married before you have kids, people are always like, well, he can still leave you even if you're married. He can still leave you even... Duh! Duh. The same way you can still die in a car accident even if you have your seatbelt on. But it's probably still a good idea to put that seatbelt on when you get in the car, right? Marriage protects you and gives you benefits that being a baby mama does not. Okay? So if you want to be a baby mama, that's your call. You're grown. You can do whatever you want. But stop trying to make women who want to wait until they're married before they have kids sound like they're crazy. Thank you.
So I think this is a lot of the argument behind why you should get married before having a child. It's just that protection, that extra protection, just in case. Because yes, you can get divorced, you could still become a single parent, it could still not work out. But the hope is that because you're married, it just incentivizes you to stay and put that work in to make it work. Because I feel like when you are just boyfriend and girlfriend or cohabitating and you haven't yet brought it to that level, it does become a bit easier to give up on a relationship. This is what we've been seeing, right? People are boyfriend and girlfriend, they have a child, they break up. Now this is a single mother raising a child on her own, and she might not have that support system and she might not have that financial stability. So making sure that your partner is willing to commit to you and marry you is just, for me, a prerequisite. It feels almost as though people nowadays feel like having a child is less of a commitment than getting married, or they're more scared of getting married for some reason than having a child. But in my mind, having a child is a lifelong commitment and tied to a partner, like tied to a person. You might have to go to a wedding for your child together. You might have to go to graduations. You might have to go to see the grandchildren. There's going to be these moments where your paths cross forevermore. So it's a way longer commitment to me than marriage, because in the end of the day, you could get divorced. If you have no children, that's it. That's the end. You never see them again. But I don't think this is the way people think nowadays. I don't know if that's actually the consensus. Obviously, most people feel this way, but we're still seeing that rising number of people that are having children outside of marriage. So we're seeing this shift of people's definition of family and how that becomes a structure. Success is not so much about having a ring anymore and getting married, and things are 100% evolving. The younger generation is not interested in getting married, but they are still interested in having children. So we've already kind of seen how that turns out. Every single minority in America is seeing a rise in single motherhood. So I think that this is something that we need to tackle, because unfortunately this does affect the children and how they grow up. And so I feel like if we stop prioritizing making sure that the children grow up in a healthy household, we're going to see the effects down the line. I feel like we're already seeing it, but it's only going to become more prevalent as time goes on. So I wonder how this is going to shake out. I wonder what we're going to do about this. Obviously, we're seeing some women start to be more strict about this. Unfortunately, they're saying shaming, but again, hopefully it's more productive. Hopefully we start to realign our morals as the younger generation and start to prioritize, even if it's not marriage, but making sure that we're actually planning for these things in a structured way. Personally, I still think that marriage should be done before having the child, but that doesn't mean that you cannot be successful and do it a different way. And clearly things are shifting, things are changing. So I'm interested to see how this all turns out. And my message would be to make sure that the child is happy and healthy first and foremost, and that the parents do whatever it is that they can to make sure that that child is raised right. So what do you guys think about this decline in marriage, along with a lot of families having children outside of marriage? Do you guys think this is a good thing? Do you guys think this is a bad thing? What's your personal philosophy on this? Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please post the baby emoji in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video essay.